God. Okay. Welcome to the Leighton Inclusion Interview Show, where we talk about the difference between kindness and cruelty with an emphasis on kindness. Especially today, we'll be talking about family and the human animal bond and Hollywood. We've got Hollywood writer and producer Laurie Jacobson and her husband and Lassie's kid brother or owner, Jon Provost. Hi, Jon and Laurie. Thank you.
Hi,
How are
And
you folks?
we're doing great. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm grateful that you're here. One of the bios that I read while reading up on y'all, it cited Jon as a national treasure. And in many ways, I think both of you are. I met Laurie through her mom, who is an amazing poet, Roberta Beach Jacobson. And I met your mom through the cat writer community. Something that I love for both
Mm,
Laurie and Jon is the
I think you
leadership.
did.
Huh?
oh, I was just thinking that that lady is not my mom that you
Oh,
mentioned.
Yeah, no, that was I didn't know.
He was just your mom's a poet?
Wow, I didn't know. I know she painted.
Yeah, my
oh my
mother
gosh.
was a wonderful artist, but not a poet.
So are you guys not related at all? You just happen to have the same last name?
Yes.
I love this. I'm so glad.
Synchronicity.
Yeah, I'm so glad I'm doing the interview because I'm learning as I go along. That's so
Well,
funny.
that's life, isn't
Oh
it?
yeah.
We're learning as we go along.
Totally, totally. Wow. Well, I do love, and I have a feeling I'm going to learn a lot about things like leadership and social media and solving the world's problems and providing humanity to animals today. I do have that for a strong feeling. Were you, Laurie? You were a small town girl though in the Midwest and in
Yes.
Missouri,
St. Louis.
St. Louis, and were your parents like stage parents? Where my kid is perfect, or were you able to just learn from them as you went along?
Mm.
Um, they were not stage parents, and when I told them I wanted to be an actress,
Mhm.
they tried to talk me out of it.
Of course.
Of course, there are no happy marriages in Hollywood. So they were worried, but they were lovely people. And
I,
I can attest to that.
thank you. And I
what
miss
about
them every day.
I can relate with my parents as well and my stepmom. Jon, were your parents stage parents?
No, it's amazing. Laurie's parents, neither one of us, our parents were show business people, had never been involved with show business. My parents weren't, were from the South. My father was from Alabama, my mother was from Texas, but they immigrated to Southern California. My father was an aeronautical engineer, and that's where they were building airplanes. And so he started working for people like Howard Hughes and Jack Northrop in the early 40s, and they got married. And, one day, my mom has three children. She's just a housewife, a normal housewife. And she reads in the LA Times that Warner Brothers is looking for a 2 to 3 year old boy to be in this movie with Jane Wyman.
Nice.
So she was growing up in Texas, on a small farm. Her idol was Jane Wyman. So you're going to love this, Anne. But she thought if she took me on this audition, she was going to meet Jane Wyman and get her autograph. And
Sweet.
Laurie knows the story. I mean, that's the only reason mom took me. And like I said,
Right.
they knew nothing about Hollywood. Mom was a seamstress, and dad was designing airplanes. But so mom takes me on this audition, and back then they called them a cattle call. There were over 200 little boys and little girls whose moms had cut their hair, uh, and trying out for this part. And after a long day, I came out the son of Jane Wyman and Sterling Hayden in a movie called So Big. And that's what started it all. So it was
Right.
just being in the right place at the right time. And this farm girl from Texas wanting an autograph. That's what
Nice.
started the whole thing.
Did she get her autograph?
She got a lot more than that.
You definitely have, when you were that age, and growing up as a teenager, because I used to look at all the 16 magazines and Tiger Beats, and you were a heartthrob, probably, and obviously you still are, but those blue eyes.
Did you hear
as
that,
a kid, those
well,
blue eyes.
after did Lassie for 7 years from when I was 7 to 14. And they actually wanted to extend the contract 3 more years. But I'm 14, I'm going through puberty, I'm tired of the dogs. I'm more interested in girls now. And it just was the transition. It worked fine for me. But yeah, the teen magazines, I mean, we were the ones that were out there, and like everybody else at the time, I even was, I had an audition at Columbia Records to do a singing thing, at 16
Oh,
years old. Well, I couldn't carry a tune. I mean, so that went out the window real fast, but they were just, looking for people and kids, and that's what it was all about.
sure. Well, let's exploit them. And there are singing actors. I mean, we all know a
Oh,
couple.
sure. Well, a good friend of ours who recently passed away, Jay North, who is famous as being Dennis the Menace. Jay did an album. I mean,
Ah,
so many other kid actors. Well, another good friend of ours who actually, he had a band, Johnny Crawford from the Riflemen. Okay. He had this incredible 30 band. Laurie, why don't you tell? Laurie found him, and what he did for us was amazing. This is a great story.
Lori.
Johnny had a lot of albums when he was on the Rifleman, and just after he had a beautiful voice, and and his parents were in music publishing, so he had a great musical background, and he really loved the late 20s, early 30s jazz. And he had a jazz orchestra that sometimes was as large as 30 to 40 pieces.
Oh, that's huge.
And every time I went to see him, I thought, if I ever get married, he's got to play at my wedding. Well, so he did, with a much smaller orchestra, 6 people, and Johnny singing in his top hat and tails and one of those fabulous old microphones. And it was fabulous.
It was an incredible gift.
Wow. Yeah. Well, did you know Bill Mummy? Because he grew up to be, instead of being an actor, he became
he's like my little brother,
Oh,
June Lockhart,
Mummy, I mean,
I'm the first son. And yeah, Bill, he became the second son.
June
yeah,
Lockhart. You're right. You're right.
Yeah, we go way back, way back. We're about 10 years, I think about 10 years apart.
I don't
He's
think
a
that.
little bit younger. But yeah, no, Bill's great. And talk about somebody that's had a music
Yeah.
career. Yeah, Bill's gone. And actually, June Lockhart introduced him and Angela Cartwright to rock and roll back in the day.
She's amazing. What an amazing woman she is.
Oh yeah, and 100 years old, and
100 years old.
Still there.
Animals is what stuck with you guys, but you guy and gal, just.
Oh yeah, well, for myself, I've growing up, when I got the part of Lassie, I had a pony, my sister had a horse, we had a goat. I didn't live on a farm, but it was outside of Los Angeles, but we had chickens and things. So I was always around animals, and that was great. And just having the pleasure of being able to work with one of the best dog trainers in history was red weatherwax. And what I learned from him, and the respect for animals, and one thing that Red would do when we were on the show, we worked 9 months out of the year to film Lassie. And one month that we were off, Lassie and I, only two from the series, would travel around the country, hitting all the major markets, Dallas, Chicago, New York, Denver, wherever, and promote Lassie, the series. Well, Rudd would insist that if there was a children's hospital, Lassie and I go see the kids.
Sweet.
Now, this is, the late 50s, early 60s. There were no such thing as service dogs other than guide dogs for the blind. They didn't let dogs into hospitals, and they didn't let kids in there unless they were sick. But they would let Timmy and Lassie in.
Sure.
What it did for me, what I saw kids with polio. I saw kids, with whooping cough. I saw kids that had been in horrible auto accidents or in fires. But when they saw Timmy and Lassie walk in that room, they were transported to another place. And it changed their lives, for maybe an instant, because they watched us every Sunday night. But here we are in person. And, I just saw what it did. And it led, for me over the years of being involved with animals, animal rights, service dogs, war dogs, you name it. And, Laurie's been a super help and a big inspiration in that too.
Absolutely. You were an animal person too, Laurie, right?
Oh yeah, I love animals. But I want to tell you, with what Jon was just telling you, one day I was getting his email from his fan site, and a gentleman mentioned that a friend of his, a lady friend of his, had been one of those children at the hospital in North Carolina. And he had run out of pictures to sign, and she never got her autographed picture. And he said, I would love to surprise her. Would you mind sending me an autograph photo for her? And we were headed to where she lived for an autograph show. And I said, we can do better than that. Don't tell her where she's going, and come to the autograph show. And it was such an incredible full circle moment.
I'm one of those guys that cries at sappy movies and that kind of thing, and oh boy, it brought the memories back. That's what it's all about, helping people and making people's lives better.
And to have that opportunity, some people look at it as part of their job, but we don't look at it like that. What a beautiful thing we were allowed to take part in. So meaningful.
You're doing Living Legends. That's where you're helping a lot of classic actors, including probably folks in the Johnny Crawford realm, stay in touch with the fans too. And it means something to them.
Absolutely.
And this is 50 years later or so, or 60 years later.
It's the Rifleman is on television 24/7. Lassie's on 24/7. They're on reruns in foreign countries. Lassie's on reruns in over 60 foreign countries. I get email from all over the world. And, it's a tribute to what we did back then.
Right.
But, whether it be My Three Sons or Leave It to Beaver or Lassie or The Rifleman or whatever. But, Andy Griffith, the shows had something to say. You got something, you learned from it. It wasn't just fluff and exploding vehicles and exploding heads.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that totally makes sense, because what you're doing is they were writing shows that had messages. I watched, there are a couple of TV series that I watched from beginning to end, like Daniel Boone, and each episode had messages.
Sure.
and character, morals type things about treating people right.
Well, it's
That's
like Timmy and last, Timmy he wasn't the smartest kid. He got into trouble, he did things, but he learned from his mistakes, and he didn't talk back to his parents. Oh, wow, that's something unusual. So yeah, it was just, you said it perfectly, Anne, that, there were morals involved. And, unfortunately, there are some good ones today, but not a lot.
Yeah, well, there's also a lot more TV to choose from. So I have a feeling that if we were to put all those shows on a couple of channels, would have the three
Right.
networks, what's compatible to the three networks here and there. So I think that's a possibility. And you continue to work with animals from your 20s on, from college on, really.
Yes,
Uh,
I got involved a little bit later on with an organization called Canine Companions for Independence.
yeah, what's that?
CCI supplies service dogs to people that have disabilities other than blindness, because guide dogs for the blind fill that niche. All other disabilities, we've placed dogs around the world. The dogs are free to the recipients. The national headquarters is here in the town Santa Rosa in Sonoma County, where we live. That's how I got involved. But there training centers throughout the United States, and it's a super organization. People, it's just cci.org. If somebody wants to look it up, and if they have a family member or a relative or somebody that might need an assistant dog, they can go there and do the research. But no, super organization. And long story short, I was on the board of governors for 25 years.
That's
But then
thank you.
on the side, I've worked for no-kill pet shelters, raising funds for them, working in states to get laws passed for animal rights. So it's just hey, I think I owe it all to Lassie and Rudd.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I do know, like, dealing with mental challenges, and I myself have dealt for years with agoraphobia, and I know that whenever I walk a dog, I feel safe as anything, and I can cross the street all by myself and feel great and feel like I'm not alone.
Oh,
So I
it's really amazing. I mean, when I working with Lassie, which was an incredible experience just because the dogs were so smart, not just trained, but they were intelligent. And, you can see, the benefit that having a dog, even, for elders, for people, that they're in a building and they've lost their spouse of, 50 years, and now they're basically a shut-in. Well, if they get a dog, a pet, a cat, a little pig, who knows, then they can go out and it just makes life, and they meet people, and it's like a new beginning. So yeah, I don't know what we would do without our dog.
Mhm.
We now only rescue Laurie.
Senior dogs. We only rescue senior dogs.
I'm senior cats. I can relate. Yeah.
I mean, everybody wants the new guys, but hey, the old guys need help too, and love.
It's amazing how well we just took in two senior cats because the owner was evicted, and they fit in so perfect with the two cats that I've had all these years. It's a family, and right now one of them is on the desk. I changed the seat one of the cats' names because I couldn't call him Coco. I had to call him Arnold because he was very strong, and but very strong. And I had an Artie with a T years ago, so I can relate.
All
And
right.
they would have been sent to the city shelter or dumped. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
something I'll never understand. But
No, I can relate to that.
Or, I mean, I've dealt with cases of, puppy mills. And
Mm.
I'm sorry. And for instance, in uh, we did a new Lassie series for Fox in 89, 90, and which was a great experience. And the second season, the producer Al Burton, he kind of threw it out to the actors. If you had any ideas, for an episode or something, run it by me and we'll see. And so I pitched an episode, and it was about using rabbits in cosmetic testing.
Oh,
And
brilliant.
and he liked it, so they did the script. We did the half-hour episode on the new Lassie series, and that episode won the Genesis Award for that year for best family show. Showing animal rights. So yeah, it runs deep. It runs deep in this house.
Yeah, right on. Absolutely. I think also making the world a better place, and Hollywood seemed to run deep in your place. That was one of the first things that I noticed about what you both work on is just leadership. I feel that Laurie, just the fact that you've taken Hollywood by the horns, so to speak, because you came out here from the outside and got on the inside somehow. And you,
somehow,
yeah, you worked at
I'll
the
let Laurie
studio.
take it over.
Yeah, go. You got into the studio system as someone that can make decisions or help other people make decisions as a producer.
yeah. And I didn't at the time. I had women on the crew that were telling me, wow, you're one of the producers. Like, I didn't realize at the time that it was a rarity. I'm trying to think, I think it was 1990. I produced and co-wrote the 20th anniversary of the Mary Tyler Moore Show.
Wow.
And it was on that show that people were amazed that there was a female producer. So I worked with a wonderful producer, Jack Haley Jr.
Yes.
His daddy was the Tin Man, of course, and Jack was a wonderful documentary filmmaker and knew everyone from his parents through his parents and his time growing up in Hollywood. So his stories were amazing. And I think he loved women and he didn't think twice. If you can do the job, you got the job. And that's how I thought. And I didn't know there was that glass ceiling. And I'm glad I didn't know, because it might have held me back a little bit.
When did you look into show business and say, I'm going to try and get myself there? And I know you wanted to first be an actress. That must have been really hard to get on the inside get on the inside from the outside.
Yeah, it was a little harder than I thought. We had relatives. My family had relatives in California and in LA. And so we came to visit them frequently. And I just remember when I was little turning to my mom and saying, they have pink houses here. It was just so entirely different from the Midwest. And my brother and I both knew immediately, we're moving here. This place is great. So yes, I went to acting school on the East Coast. And when I was ready, I came out to the West Coast. And I like to say I was a waitress, a really great waitress.
Me too. Me too.
And only a little bit of acting. I found my way to a comedy improv workshop, and
Right.
that led me to doing some stand-up. And I had an improv group that I performed with, and I really loved that. But the whole time I was doing that, I was learning wonderful stories about the people who came before me in Hollywood. And so I'd go to a party with my friends and I would say, let me tell you what I heard about Jean Harlow. And they were like, what? So I collected these stories and somebody said it should be a book. And so that was the start of it. I wrote a book. I was one of a few female Hollywood historians. They were all
Yeah.
men. And so there was an open door for me to be on shows at that time because there were so few women. And that really helped me advance my reputation and find more work. And then people wanted to turn my books into documentaries
Sweet.
and I, you just say, yes, I know how to do that. And you, like we said in the beginning, we learn as we go along.
Totally, totally, totally. What was your first book? Was that was not The Haunted Hollywood, was it?
No, my first book was called Hollywood Heartbreak.
Oh, brilliant. Brilliant.
Because, people's lives were so dramatic here, and often their deaths were very dramatic or too soon or unsolved mysteries. And
Right.
all of that contributed to Hollywood's mystique. And so it was great documentary fodder.
We want to know about the heartbreaks too. I mean, you mentioned Jean Harlow. I mean, come on, girl. That is that. I mean, and you worked with Jack Haley, who worked with Judy Garland. So there were stories that to this day hurt, you know?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Jack met Judy when she was on the set of The Wizard of Oz, of course. And he went to visit his dad. He was only about 5, and she made tea for him in her trailer. And then, 35 years later, he married her daughter. So Hollywood is a
Wonderful.
small town.
It totally is. It totally is. When did you realize? So it was while you were making the documentaries that you felt like you were on the inside, and while you were being interviewed, it's like, how did I get here? Oh, I know how I got here. I got here naturally. Something like that.
Just it was a natural curiosity
Good.
that led me to research those people. And, as time goes on, now there's the internet and hundreds of books on Hollywood scandals. But
True.
when I was doing it, there was none of that. And, I thought the internet was going to put me out of business. But all you have to do is ask Google what happened to Jean Harlow, and you don't
True.
need me. But I still have a path there.
Yeah, and I mean, let's talk a little bit about the Beatles, because that were you at the celebration at I want Beatles
Shea?
65 at Shea Stadium? Were you able to get here, or even
No,
see the
I
Beatles
saw
at the
that they were
Hollywood Bowl?
I saw that Shea was doing that tribute, which was so exciting. But no, I was here, California.
Gotcha.
But I
Gotcha.
did see the Beatles in St. Louis.
Oh, okay. There you go.
So, oh yeah, that would have been a very incomplete moment if I had never seen them. So,
Beatles were about love. And we also know that the Beatles also love their pets. I can Google George and cats or George and dogs, and I'll find animals, right?
and Paul wrote a song, Martha, My Dear, for his sheepdog, Martha.
That's true. That's true. Oh
And
my
he
gosh.
has a farm, and Linda, his wife, Linda, loved horses. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, they're very animal involved as well.
Yeah. And there's photos of Ringo with cats and John and Yoko and their cats. And somebody was talking something about a walrus at one point. I don't remember what
Yes, so true. So
So
yes, I wrote, you're referring to my book, Top of the Mountain, The Beatles at Shea Stadium 65, which
yeah, that's a great title.
what it was from a quote of John's. He was out with the promoter of that concert, Sid Bernstein, several years later,
Hmm.
and at a reggae concert. And he turned to Sid and said, "You know, that Shea Stadium, I saw the top of that. I saw the top of the mountain that incredible, unforgettable night."
I,
And
I,
it truly was.
yeah, yeah, and as was seeing them in Missouri for you, it was an incredible night because you said that was part of your time growing up. That was something that definitely happened for you.
Oh yeah, my parents took me.
Absolutely. Uh, I've got to share a picture that Kenny Aronson sent with his, yeah, there's a
Oh,
little,
wow.
Oh,
yeah,
Hey, there we are. Now
yeah.
he's got a pretty collie there.
Yeah, that's Savannah, and I'm sorry that it's a little obscured. I think using Zim, I don't have Joe Rogan's crew helping me, unfortunately, where you can see the full photo. But he's Kenny from the Yardbirds, and
yay.
we'll be interviewing
Oh,
Kenny
wow.
down the line.
Oh,
And
cool.
you have a mutual friend named Mary who brought John and Laurie, were you at the Yardbird show in Santa Rosa at Yoshi? No, Oakland. I'm
In
sorry.
Oakland
Yes,
at Yossi. Yeah, yeah. That was
twice.
great. Yeah, twice we went. And it's a really great venue. I mean, just a couple hundred people, or maybe a little, yeah, about a couple hundred, maybe 250 at the most.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I
Oh,
got
Oh, here you go.
Jim McCarty's signed photo, the founding member of the
Of the
our drummer.
Yardbirds. There you go.
and I interviewed him for Top of the Mountain because they were on the same bill with the Beatles for a month.
Oh, wow. I think
On
I
the
need to
tour.
interview Jim. That's
And
excellent.
actually, Jim's guitarist was Eric Clapton, and that's where George and Eric met
Oh, wow. That's a great story.
in '64. So it was a very important billing for George and Eric.
There's a whole history, and to me, so much of rock and roll is recycled bands. It's a rock and roll is a family tree. Really, it's not just the British bands. There was a band called Armageddon, and somehow Kenny is related to Armageddon, but also one of the Yardbirds was somehow involved with that band as well.
Huh.
So, and that's an American band
Hmm.
somehow.
Yeah, I think
Um,
everybody, like in LA, in that, the canyons.
right.
Everybody lived together and they could hear somebody playing, two blocks away and pick up, and everybody did move around and go from group to group and until they found their home.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of these classic bands, the current lineups of the Yardbirds have lasted longer than the original lineups of the Yardbirds. I work with Jethro Tull, and we've had the same lineup more closely, except for drummers changing and occasional guitar changes since 2000, since the 1990, since 2000, really.
Wow.
So lineups are, the older the bands get, the more consistent the lineups stay.
Wow.
Yeah, I've just noticed that. It's people like to work, and I think maybe the older you get, the more you can chill and get along with your bandmates.
Maybe the,
They're
the, the little petty differences, they're just, we'll just leave those alone. As a matter of fact, yeah, Greg with Canned Heat, the same thing. We have a friend who was with Canned Heat. but the later, not the original group, and they lasted a lot longer
Oh
than
yeah,
the.
yeah.
Oh
And the
yeah.
drummer is, and actually they've had a consistent drummer, Fido de la Parra, all these years. And he
Wow.
was in the original recordings of Canteen. So I love this.
Right.
I love it. So what are you watching on television? I've been watching a lot of news shows, especially from PBS. America at the Crossroads is something I really love. Judy Woodruff.
Yeah, we've seen a couple great documentaries recently. I mean, we all grew up with Ed Sullivan. I mean, after last Sunday night, everybody watched. I did, the family sat down, one television, no
Mhm.
tapings, had to see it then. We all watched Ed. And there's this great documentary on Ed Sullivan, and boy, learned so much from that. And we love animals, and we learned a whole lot about octopus recently. There's a great documentary, yes, 2 episodes. Well, actually, there's 2 documentaries, one a few years ago and then a new one. The first one was just 1 episode.
One movie.
Oh, it was a movie.
My Teacher
Yes.
Yes, yes,
from
that
South
one.
Africa.
I sobbed, just sobbed.
And then the new one
Yes.
is called Octopus, and it's 2 episodes, and amazing. I mean, what we're learning. I mean, like I said, what I learned from Red Weatherwax about dogs and animals, and what we're learning every day, and it just never stops. I mean, we're learning, especially with adopting and rescuing, the animals and older animals, and it's a real learning experience.
And a friend of ours, Stephen Talbot, who started out as a kid actor, best known as Gilbert on Leave It to Beaver. He became a great journalist and documentary filmmaker, and his film,
PBS
yeah, and
for
on
years. Yeah.
PBS has been airing his most recent documentary, The Madman and the Movement.
Hmm.
Excellent. About the Vietnam War.
About the escalation of the Vietnam War under Nixon. And amazingly, he was invited this past spring to go to Vietnam to screen the documentary there and answer their questions, which was just an incredible moment for him.
Mm-hmm.
Not far from you, but I guess south of San Francisco, it's a heavy Vietnamese community. Yes,
It's the largest Vietnamese population other than in Vietnam.
San Jose-ish.
Yes, it's in near San Jose, or it could possibly be San Jose, but yeah, you're correct.
Yeah, yeah. And I used to work at Hit Parader magazine in the city, and one of my city school students, I had interns from a local high school, and one of them grew up and he became a comedian and a teacher, and he moved to Vietnam, and he became a Buddhist as well. So every week I'm seeing updates on his social media just about with beautiful signs, what he's discovering from the community, occasionally some of the religious build buildings. And there are classic, I've seen some old movies, old from the last century, the 90s, that take place in Vietnam. And they've really built up the country from what we did to them.
Yeah.
So very thankful. So what's that documentary called again?
The Madman and the Movement.
Wow. Okay.
And Stephen was very involved in the 60s in protests and public speaking. And one of my favorite stories was he was at a huge rally. He's on stage, and there are Black Panthers and all kinds of political people. And Stephen gives this heavy duty speech, and followed by questions. And this woman stands up, and the first question he's asked is, Weren't you Gilbert on Leave It to Beaver?
Oh God.
He just, he said, I looked, the Black Panthers were looking at me like, what? And he said he had to bury that part of his career for a number of years in order to be taken seriously by the media. But I just laughed so hard when he told me that. Weren't you Gilbert?
But it's gonna happen. Guilty Gilbert. That's me. Yeah. Him, not me, but I'm pretending to be him for a moment. Channeling. You know what I mean.
Sure.
Wow. Yeah. Well, that's going to happen. I mean, I love looking on your social media and getting advice and also being taught things about dealing with the craziness in this world and being able to see right from wrong. And I think that's part of what we do just as human beings is learn from each other. I'm grateful for the internet, which is really how I discovered you.
Yes,
So
I love the internet. It's amazing, and I wish it was only used for good,
I do
not
too.
for evil.
Yeah, and with AI now, it's pretty
Yeah.
dicey. I mean, we really when you see things, you have to look at them with not a fine-tooth comb, but an electron microscope to see what's really there.
Yeah.
So,
And talk about possibly being put out of business. I mean, when you can literally feed a few sentences into AI and a screenplay pops out, it's pretty scary to be a writer. I think writing is number 3 on the list of jobs that will disappear when AI gets fully ramped up.
We're not gonna let it happen because we as writers, I think we're able to be cynical with what we read and we can speak up and say, nope, there's a mistake there or something to that effect. We can or we can say, no, you did not write in my style and you're not going to ever get it.
Now that's an interesting remark. Cynicism and other very human emotions, I think, will be missing.
mhm. Well,
Yeah.
it's the same with like music. Like when we went from vinyl to CDs,
Yeah.
we lost a lot of the warmth. And that's why people are going back to vinyl now because it does sound different. But they said, oh no, this is the new thing that, tape and then CDs, blah, blah. But no, yeah, you're never gonna lose, you're never gonna wanna get rid of that.
I'm sorry, honey. It worries me that people have fake girlfriends and boyfriends now.
That's concerning. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
isn't that concerning?
they have forgotten how to meet
Whoa.
human beings. They're too much on the internet. They're not going out and it used to be important to be a conversationalist.
Yes.
I mean, when you talk about talk shows, when I think back to Jack Parr, does anyone remember that before Johnny Carson? I mean, you didn't have to have anything to promote. You just went on and told marvelous anecdotes and laughed and much as we're doing now, the conversation just flowed and you jumped from one subject to another. And it's not about your latest album or movie or book.
And it's not just sound bites either.
No, we need to make sure those skills are intact. Themes of listening and understanding, as well as themes of dealing with family, friends, pets, animals.
You know,
Yeah, humanize us.
I used to be a smoker.
Okay, yeah.
And it was so easy if you saw a guy in a bar that you wanted to get to know. I could just pull a cigarette out of my purse and approach and ask for a light. Then I
Uh-huh.
quit smoking. And then I would see a cute guy in a bar and think, well, now what do I do? Do I actually have to go over and say, hey, you look like a nice person? You know, it was like I had to relearn without my crutch.
Well, there you go. Here's the solution. You find something that you like about him and you offer a compliment, because I do believe anybody, especially some guys, especially nowadays, because there are unhappy men nowadays. And if they're at a bar, they're probably looking for a little bit more happiness. No?
Yeah, sure. I would think.
Yeah. And I think there has been talk about, quote unquote, the lost boys, where some of the men today, and it's really everybody today, we're talking about being dehumanized. They're growing up and they don't feel they have role models, and they don't feel like there's anyone there for them. So I think offering a compliment, seeing what's nice about the person, seeing what you like about the person,
Mm-hmm.
uh, to break the ice, that might help. Although you still want to make sure that you're safe, because you
That's
don't.
right. I was just
Yeah.
thinking that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, did you
I think common sense goes a long way, and your gut feeling about things.
Yeah.
did you happen to see Adolescence?
Not yet. I want to see that.
You
Everybody's been telling
must.
me about that.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, it's got the most Emmy nominations of anything that was on this year.
Okay.
It not only the way it's shot, which is fascinating, there are no cuts, that it is in real time and the
Yeah,
camera
it's
never stops. You know, it doesn't cut from one scene to another. It's all one moment happening to you. And it is about a lost boy, wouldn't you say?
mhm, mhm.
Kind of at
About a murder of a
teenager.
a young person. But it's but yeah, it's the way it's dealt with and the way it's filmed and everything. It's just like Laurie said, it's just the nominations are just off the charts. And
Yes.
I believe it was pretty much of an independent. I mean, it's not a big, and it's British. Um,
Oh,
it's just, yeah, it knocked our socks off.
I watch Netflix. I there have been a couple of filmmakers that have been on there. uh, I'm sticking with right now Scandal. I'm almost done with that. And that's just taking me on a ride, because I'm seeing someone become a monster, a woman leader, a publicist, basically, crisis manager, become a monster as she gains more power. And then it's inevitable she's going to lose the power. But how is she going to re-find herself? So I'm watching that, and I'm going to see how that goes. And I
Okay.
think I'll put Adolescence next on the list, because everybody's saying watch it.
Oh, yeah. It's
No, it's pretty
like
amazing.
nothing you've seen before.
Mhm.
I will take that as a word. Anything else you'd like to add? I'm going to post your websites, including Provost for Pets.
It's provostpets.com. And, it's all my years working with animals, being around, helping, loving, and caring for.
Nice, nice
Always
story.
looked for something that I could put my name on and just couldn't find it. And as we mentioned earlier, we rescue, and our last 3 dogs have been senior rescues. But nonetheless, every new addition to our family has come with some kind of baggage. Yeah, well,
Except for me.
and you know, anxiety and separation anxiety and you know, just different issues. And so we, over quite a few years, finally came up with a product. There are a lot of products out there for anxiety for dogs and cats and stuff. And we came up with Spray Mix and Go. It's a CBD product for dogs and cats, and the separate products, obviously. But it's what makes ours unique, and we really had to do a lot of work, is ours is in a spray. It's not a tincture, which is a glass bottle with an eyedropper. And, you know, I mean, and for senior people, that's a little difficult sometimes. And if you drop it, it breaks and you're out, you know, your money. Ours is in a plastic bottle, and each spray is a measured dose. So there's no mixing, no guessing, and it's just pure CBD isolate and vegan coconut oil. So there's no other cannabinoids in it. Like most of them have THC in it, which is not good for your pet. But ours,
No,
it's 100% CBD isolate. It's no artificial flavors, taste, colors, anything, all natural, made here. And people can check it out at provostpets.com.
Laurie, I'm going to ask you to show that and say something one more time, because a lot of
Okay.
times
And
Zoom
now we
excludes.
have Laurie.
We have, this is, which one is this? This is our CBD for large dogs. And it's, and as John was saying, there's so many benefits to it. It helps with arthritis, it helps with joint pain. And rather than, you know, a lot of dogs get nervous on car rides, going to the groomer, going to the vet.
How do they know? Yeah.
Being left,
Yeah, how do
being
they
left
know?
alone in the house. It can lead to destructive behavior, which, you know, then everyone is sad. Your pet is sad, you are sad. So this really gives them a happier, well-balanced disposition and life without drugging them.
Right. No, that's the thing. You know, go to your vet. I mean, we love our vet. Been going to my vet for, you know, 60 years. I'm not from animals. And, you know, they've always prescribed pharmaceuticals. And those are drugs, folks, and they are not great. This is all natural, and you can't overdose, you can't become addicted to it, your cat or your dog can't. So it's the way, provostpets.com.
Nice, nice. Thank you. And anything else you want to add?
Well, just thank you for having us on the show, and it's been a pleasure.
It's been a lot of fun, very thought-provoking conversation, and I like that we just skipped all around.
I'm
Kind of covered
thankful.
everything.
I like it too, and I'm thankful, and I did prepare. It may seem like we're skipping around, but there's so much, and I'm thankful that I learned that you have a different mom.
Yes, my
Well
mom.
done. So
You know, John is jonprovost.com. I'm lauriejacobson.com. We're on Facebook and Instagram and
all
those
the fun
things.
stuff.
I
And
will find you.
and we love the general public, and we love to hear from them.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank
you,
you.
Anne.
You're welcome.